Connie rushed to the cabin, full of concern, hoping to explain everything to Carl, but her sincerity was met with cold indifference.
Is that why you wanted me then? To have child?
Did I seem of good enough stock as you'd consider a horse was stud?
I felt for you what I've never felt. Heaven knows it would be simpler if you'd not been.
Say it! Say it! Simpler if I'd not been a servant! To be commanded, and your ladyship has commanded a lover and commanded a baby.
So she quietly chose to leave. Back home, Connie felt as if she had suffered a heartbreak. She shut herself in her room and cried alone. Meanwhile, the maid secretly went to the cabin in the woods and found a diary on the windowsill, a diary that detailed Connie and Carl's meetings. She immediately reported this to Chatterley. After learning the truth, Chatterley called Connie outside. He could not accept that his wife had been involved with a servant, and he refused to allow an heir with impure blood to be born. So he ordered Connie to get rid of the child and demanded that Carl be expelled from the estate. Connie rushed to the cabin, desperate to find Carl. But when she opened the door, the place was completely empty. Her heart sank. She thought Carl had abandoned her. Overwhelmed with despair, Connie broke down in tears. But suddenly, Carl appeared. They fell into each other's arms, holding one another tightly, and Connie made up her mind she would leave with him no matter what.
We're together.
I've no rugby to offer.
But you've put a child into me.
Connie and Carl went together to see Chatterley, hoping he would agree to a divorce and finally end a marriage that existed only in name. But Chatterley's reaction was unexpectedly firm. He refused to let his wife go. The air grew heavy with tension. Connie looked at Chatterley with steady, unwavering eyes. Seeing that determination in her gaze, Chatterley suddenly glimpsed her longing for a real, happy life.
Once, to unburden me of you, you were ready to sacrifice your life. I believe there must still be a part of the beautiful man I fell in love with capable of one last act of sacrifice.
In that moment, his heart began to soften, and as Connie turned to leave, he realized that his stubbornness had become the very thing blocking her path to happiness.
Have your divorce, Lady Chatterley. Have it. Take her. She's yours. And mine? Mine is the world.
In the end, Connie and Carl set off on a journey far from their homeland. She carried with her a profound yearning for freedom, crossing boundaries of class and convention, choosing to walk hand in hand with love. Connie arrived at the forest cabin, unable to resist the pull that drew her there, dressed in her beautifully embroidered suit. By chance, she caught sight of Carl's strong, bare torso, and her heartbeat surged instantly. Before she had time to savor the moment, a dog noticed her presence, forcing her to pretend she was merely out for a walk to hide her flustered thoughts. Seeing her, Carl quickly put on his clothes and carefully kept his distance. But Connie couldn't help teasing him.
You have a very low opinion of me, that I'd have you dismissed over a trifle.
No men suffer fates far worse for as little.
Really, your insolence appears so generalized, one chooses not to take it personally.
His silent, stoic response made a faint look of disappointment flicker in her eyes. Irritated, she stood up and prepared to leave, but a sudden downpour blocked her way home. With no other choice, and with Carl's reluctant permission, she stepped inside the cabin to take shelter. As she removed her wet outer coat, her graceful figure revealed itself before Carl. Yet he did not lose his composure. Instead, he picked up a piece of cloth and placed it between them, blocking his view.
Why are you embarrassed?
I ain't. Please, my lady, if it became known we were here like this together, I'd lose more than my job.
His simple words snapped Connie out of her trance and made her understand his restraint and helplessness. When the rain finally stopped, she quietly left the cabin, but from that day on, her heart never returned to calm. In the stillness of each night, her gaze would always drift toward the faint glow shining from the cabin deep in the woods. A woman's husband finally returned after 3 long years, but he was carried out of a car on a stretcher. Though she forced a smile in front of others, her heart was breaking. She tried to comfort her husband, hoping her gentle words could bring him a little warmth. But when he told her that he had lost all his abilities as a man, Connie froze on the spot. She swallowed her pain, comforted him, and promised she would never leave him for the rest of her life. But inside, her husband felt a sharp sting. He deliberately sent her out of the room, then pulled out a gun and aimed it at himself, hoping to free her by ending his own life. Fortunately, Connie discovered it in time and stopped the tragedy. She held him tightly as Chatterley collapsed to the floor, crying in agony. He couldn't tell whether her devotion came from love or pity. With Connie's patient care, Chatterley finally emerged from the darkness. Every time she saw his warm, familiar smile return, Connie felt a deep sense of relief and happiness. But the primal desires buried deep in her soul had no way to be released, becoming a silent torment she dared not speak of. Chatterley understood her suffering. Every day, he endured unbearable physical pain and the doctor's excruciating electric therapy, but he never thought of giving up. Yet Connie, waiting outside the room, could no longer bear to see him suffer. She rushed in and demanded the treatment stop, refusing to let her husband endure any more torture. Connie was overjoyed to discover she was pregnant that day. She knew very well that her husband desperately wanted an heir. After some inner struggle, she decided to confess to him.
Clifford, darling, I've good news. I'm expecting a child.
When Chatterley heard the news, he forced a thin, fake smile onto his face.
You have made me the happiest man on earth.
But he still said against his true feelings that he wanted to know who the man behind it was. Connie noticed the conflict in her husband's eyes. If she let him know that the father was just a servant, it would be a disaster for everyone. So she promised she would take care of everything properly. Faced with this reality, Chatterley didn't press her for details. Instead, he decided to announce publicly that the family was expecting an heir. Even though the good news was built on secrecy, a walk through the woods soon turned into a turning point. During their stroll, Chatterley's wheelchair got stuck in the mud, so he called for Mellors to help. Seeing how deeply the chair was stuck, Mellors tried several times but failed. Connie stepped forward to help, but Chatterley stopped her, reminding her she was pregnant. That was the moment Mellors learned she was pregnant. He mistakenly believed he was being used as nothing more than a tool to give the couple an heir. Overwhelmed by anger, Mellors unleashed a shocking burst of strength, pushing the heavy wheelchair out of the mud, but he injured his back in the process.
It's our great sorrow, the absence of a child.
It's my fault, this yearning I've stirred up in you, or my vain fault in raising the subject of siring an heir.
Not your fault at all.
Chatterley wanted to make up for everything he owed his wife, so he planned an elegant dinner party and even invited Connie's first love, hoping to awaken the deepest desires in her heart. As Connie and her old lover moved across the dance floor, Chatterley's eyes revealed a deep, quiet sorrow, and he slowly turned and walked away. But Connie quickly realized what her husband was trying to do, and anger surged through her. They ended up having a fierce argument.
I mean only that the man doesn't matter, only the creation of our child.
You appall me that you would humiliate me thus!
I crawl upon my belly, Lady Chatterley, to avert my eyes, while under my own roof another man will perform on my wife the act God has stolen from me. The humiliation is mine. I must have an heir!
That choice created a strange tension between them. Connie fell into deep conflict. She wanted to fulfill her husband's wish to have a child, but she couldn't betray her own feelings. During a walk with her husband one day, Connie's life took an unexpected turn. They ran into the newly appointed gamekeeper, Carl. He spoke very little, and his eyes carried a distant, unreadable coldness. Something about him quietly stirred Connie's heart. The next day, she used returning a key as an excuse to learn more about him. But Carl didn't welcome her visit. He wanted to avoid any unnecessary misunderstanding. His sudden coldness sent ripples through Connie's emotions, and she turned to leave. That afternoon, she received an apology letter from Carl. As she pictured him walking away, his image became even clearer in her mind.